The 1920s and 30s were great years for yachting. There were many classes of yachts and plenty of enthusiastic owners. Even this sort of racing was taken very seriously indeed. These films are part of a collection made by a keen amateur filmmaker, Commander Harry van der Velde. His favourite subjects were beautiful vessels such as King George V's Britannia, leader of the big class, an exclusive collection of giants racing under handicap. Splendid views such as these would be shown round the clubhouse during winter. Capturing the image of a great schooner such as Westward under sail on a compact 16mm camera may have been a hobby for Harry van der Velde, but to us, it's a glimpse of a vanished world. Rescued from a dustbin, these films have been restored and presented as far as possible in their original edited form. The narrator is Sir Reginald Bennett, himself a familiar figure in yachting circles.
And here is the Island Sailing Club itself. That was Dolly Varden's mast. And here is the Royal London, and with the striped pavilion is the Gloucester Hotel. And there is the squadron. In a marvelous position in an old castle. And here are some of the gaff-rigged boats sailing around before the start. See their great big Yankee jib topsails. And they have a jackyard which sticks out above the top of the mast for their topsail. Got as much sail as they could get on, and still they're hardly moving. Coasting along, waiting for the start. Here comes Westward with the spinnaker up, and you see between the two masts she's got a huge sail that overlaps everything. It goes up to both mast heads. It's called the fisherman's staysail. You see she's got about 2,000 people on board. She had to fill up with naval people off the guard ship. They were only the only ones who were tough enough to stand up to the regime on board there. And here's the Malay's picket boat coming alongside, or is the barge, I think it looks like it. Here they're running up the anchor, pulling the anchor up. No winches, you see. This looks like a protest flag up. Britannia, I think. Here that's the fisherman's staysail, I think, coming down on Westward. That, I imagine, is Britannia. Here are the chaps coming down from aloft. In the schooner, they had to go up aloft to handle some of the sails, because the sails would only work on one side. They all had to come down if she was going to alter course. That looks like a playing field, which is the deck of Westward. And here are the gentlemen pulling with the mariners to try to hoist the mainsail. There's the skipper. Here they go again. That's running up a sail, dashing forward again. All these well-dressed fellows. Here we are, more slavery, you see. And there they're hoisting the mainsail, getting ready to it. Now they're all clapping on to the main halyard. There's the chap singing to them from the boom end. And up the sail goes. You see the big mast hoops that go around the mast in that old-fashioned rig. Here's a gaff rigger again. That's a yawl, handicap boat. Peace and quiet on board. Of course, this is a silent film. You don't hear Tommy Davis bellowing in all directions. The That's, I think, on the left is Shamrock. Here's a 12-meter. There's the 4 people on board. See, just there's quite enough to crew a 12 in those days, spinnaker and all. Here's another one, and she's going to tack on top and cover this one here. There they are, standing off across the Solent again. Here are the 8s going to do a spectacular start with their triple collision. Off-ride, they're running down to the line. Now they're going along the line. You'll watch, there's one turning about, tacking onto the other side. And here are 2 chaps with the right-of-way coming up, and crunch. One's hit her, and she's turned around and hit the other. Isn't that picturesque? Cost a lot of money, that would. Here we are down west. That looks like Dartmouth down that way. And here is a mark boat way out to sea off Torbay. And there is my old ship, I think, it's Shamrock, jibing round the mark boat to settle onto the new course back into the bay again. And that's the depths of Torbay there, I think, in the distance. And here, this ship that we're on is going round. I think these are all taken from Belshida. And here comes the schooner, westward, and there's the north side of Torbay with the Thatcher Rock just off the end. Here we are, standing straight up. See them rolling up the jib topsail there and putting it in stops, ready to hoist. So it's like hoisting a piece of rope. That's Berry Head off Brixham, very close aboard. In the middle of a race in Torbay, off Berry Head, on a very fine sunny day. There are some people putting some real weight and getting about the last inch in hoisting, probably tightening up the mainsail, I should think. Here we are, a little breeze now, coming from the north, the east, and we're reaching across from Berry Head into Torquay. We're not leading, I'm sorry to see. They're getting the sails ready for when they come on the wind. Now that is Endeavour, with a double-clewed jib up. There's the mark boat, end of the first round, that is. Here we're coming up onto the wind, coming closer and steadying close-hauled, going to windward. Getting ready to tack, but hardening in the sheets. Here, ready to tack, ready about. Around she goes. There are the chaps pulling the sheets across so as to get them in the other side. Now she's steadying on the course, following, that looks like Endeavour. Now they're standing off on port tack into the east. They're in quite a nice big sea. They ride very smoothly, these huge yachts, very long, over the swell. Doesn't bother them. But there's the leading boat is about to tack. She's going to go onto the other tack and cross our bows. Once they've made all the sheets fast and coiled down, they get up on the windward side, because the complete ship's company is good for 2 tons of weight, and that's not bad. Now tacking again, going on to port tack. There we are. You see that I'm afraid we're a long way behind. They're the chaps who have been round the next mark, reaching off for Berry Head. There's that boat in front of us. I think it's got a black hull. Could be Britannia. Nice little breeze now. Stay ready to tack again. Well, around we go. Chaps are overhauling the sheets on the other side, so as to help the men to get them in quickly. There she is. The other one's tacked. That's Shamrock, going round that flank mark. You see the very short, stubby bowsprit. She was built with a long, beautiful, elegant bow like Endeavour, but they changed the measurement rule a bit, and she was allowed a bit more sail in front, and they couldn't lengthen the ship, so they had to stick a pole out in front. That might be Algy Maudsley, the passenger, and that's Montefield, the skipper. It could be Bill Stevenson, the owner, there. I think it is. Montefield was a much-loved skipper. Everybody liked him very much. Here we are, coming out again, reaching a bit, getting in the main sheet, ready to jibe, I think, round that outer mark. That's right. Here we go. You saw Shamrock going round it last time. This is clearly the second round of the race. And there's Berry Head in there. And here we are. There's those chap rowing the backstay winch. And here we are reaching back in for Torquay. Finished. They're all shooting up head to wind, dropping first the jib topsail, then the staysail, probably. Down we all come. And you'll see them now, see, under bare poles. They seem to have got a lot of way on still. They weigh several hundred tons. Now they're going into the harbour here, and they'll tie up inside that pierhead to the left. There's Hugh Goodson's steamer. He was heading the 12 Flicker. And here is Dick Ferry's Evadne that I used to be accommodated in. She was just about big enough. That's Cars Roads, of course, in the old days. You see the power yachts, the steamers, all the way down. That is, I'm pretty sure, Runciman's Sunbeam. There she is. This is a cruising boat with sidelight boards up. Here are a lot of guests coming on board. There must be a naval chap because he salutes as he comes over the side. There are some 8s, I think, at the squadron line. I think the gun smoke was visible there. That's Shamrock, and a really dead day. Spinnaker drooping down nearly into the water. Very calm day. That's Shamrock. She's the nearest one to us, so she got the photograph the most.
Harry van der Velde also took his movie camera to Camper and Nicholson's yard at Gosport. They were the most famous makers of great yachts. Although here he also shows us some traditional small boats under construction. Here are the overlapping planks of a clinker-built dinghy, a style of construction reaching back to the old Norse traditions. On the other hand, a frame construction will have edge-fitting planks, a Carvel-built boat. There was enough work here even during the Depression days of the 1930s, and it was an ideal place to learn the craft of fine boat building, from a wooden dinghy to a racing yacht. Many great yachts, such as Velsheda, were launched from this slipway. And it's on board her that Sir Reginald Bennett takes us next.
There we are, out in the Solent, off-ride. You can see the forts there. Another of these lovely days for which this film is so famous. There they are getting sail up. I think this is Velsheda again. Very light day. Here comes the dinghy to be put over the skylight. Must have a dinghy even during the race in case anybody falls overboard. Here is Shamrock. Can't quite see that little bowsprit, but no doubt you will in a minute. There's Westwood, those mast hoops and the gaff rig, and that's Britannia. Beautifully elegant ship. There's Velsheda. There's Britannia. There's Shamrock with a little teensy-weensy bowsprit, coming and sailing rather cheekily through our weather. Now they're all moving round and round and round, manoeuvring so as to be in the right position for the start. I think that's Astra. I think she's very saucily going under Britannia's stern, going to shoot up and pass her to leeward. Very saucy. not very exciting racing in this weather, but of course, in weather like this once I got Astra to bump into Endeavour because she was getting too close. We had the right of way, and I persuaded Hugh Paul just to give her a nudge. I'm afraid Herman Andrew, who's then owning Endeavour, wasn't all that pleased. Now we're sailing to the west, and I think we're coming up to the first mark, which I think is the West Ride Middle Buoy. Getting ready to alter course. There's the old Castle Point, just showing above the covering board. Hardening in the mainsail. They put a tackle on there to get an extra purchase on the main sheet. That's the only way they could get extra power. Here's the Ride Middle. We've just come round it. There's Cowes. Goodbye, Cowes. Here's Westward. Down comes her topsail, you see, along by the foremast, because none of her upper sails could possibly change sides. They all had to be lowered and hoisted again the other side. Now, Westward is going to be chasing us from now on, so you will see a lot of pictures. And there's my old ship, the HMS Rodney, in the background, the guard ship. Now you see that all hands just giving a tremendous pull just to get an inch. So it's probably to get the leading edge of one of the headsails tight enough. Now we're going back to the east again. There's Westward following us. She's getting all her balloons up now as we go down the Solent, further and further from Cowes. It looks to me as if we're approaching a mark. They're getting the sail. There's one of the Spithead forts. Coming out of the Solent to the eastward, and here comes the inexorable Westward creeping up on us. Look at all those balloons all over the place, that huge fisherman between the two masts. She's catching us because she's twice the size. And, of course, with a free wind, with a good reach, she's much faster than a cutter. Coming roaring along. See that when the wind is free, you get everybody as far aft as possible because the force in the sails drives the bow down a bit. So you put everybody off to bring the bow up. Now we've got our staysail coming down here. We're going to put another one up, I think, for the beat to windward. There it goes. Up it goes. Now westward's coming close. I think we're converging at a buoy. Velshida very nearly won the King's Cup one year in Cowes. I think it was 34. This is the nab end buoy, I think. This is the limit mark, way outside the Solent. Westward got there first, and there she goes. But following westward, which goes going faster, Velshida, big as she is, actually rode the stern wave, pulled up by westward, so she sailed downhill the whole length of the Solent. And every time they went round a buoy, westward had such a lot of sails to have a lot of trouble with, that Velshida would get past her and wait for her and carry on. And when westward overtook her again, she'd fall in behind again and get another tow. She very nearly won the King's Cup. There's Britannia a long way behind. Still going out for that mark. Going very nicely. There's a good breeze now. It started calm, didn't it? Here's the Warner lightship, which is halfway in to the forts. The afternoon breeze is getting up very nicely. You see that westward is going away from us all the time, although she's fairly close hauled. Not quite close hauled. Now we're going to windward, beating against the breeze. We're on starboard tack, and we're coming about now onto port tack. We've got to go tack and zigzag now against the wind all the way up to the next mark. And here we are on port tack, and in a moment you will see a familiar figure. Here she is. Here's the old Westward crossing tacks with us. Not far away now. We're catching her up, probably. There she is. She's tacked on us to cover us. Splendid sight, isn't she? Wonderful sight. There she is straight ahead. Now, if you watch, we will gradually be eating out to windward of her. We sail closer to the wind than she can. And so instead of being straight behind her, in a few minutes you'll find that we're just a bit up on her weather quarter. There she is down to leeward now. You see, we've eaten out a great deal. Much closer to the wind. Going like a train. She's still well ahead of us, and she's taking the mark. She was behind us last time we were at this mark. Here we are at the west middle again, just short of Cowes. And we're bearing away. Got the sheets off now, and we're running. As I said before, the racing off ride, the wind is nearly always what we call a soldier's wind. Not being very polite to that branch of the service. But it's a wind where you needn't do anything at all. You just reach along, and it's the design of the boat that matters. This is a picture of beating back. See, there's never any end to the work that's got to be done on deck at all stages. If only to coil the ropes down so when they're started they will run without getting a tangle. Beating back again, there's one of the old boats cruising along behind us. We're now heeling over a very long way, as you see the boat in front is. There's a good stiff breeze now, as always in the Solent afternoon. A Warner lightship. Coming back towards Cowes Close Hold. Now here's the fort off sea view. I nipped in behind that so as to get out of the foul tide, which would make us go slower. It's an old trick. Now I think we're coming up to the finish. There's Westwood, she's finished well ahead, and she's standing up, head to wind, dropping her sails. Now we're doing the same. Down comes the staysail. There's a Thames barge, must be blowing because she's only got her topsail up. Down comes the mainsail, and you'll see K7, there it is. Belsheda's number. Here we are, rounding up with the jib up. We'll take that down. Here it comes. Getting it in, very tricky sail to get down because it's hoisted flying. It doesn't slide up and down a wire. She'll take her speed and up to dropping the anchor, and that is the end.